But Sean, let's close out the podcast looking at your favorite team, the team that Sean loves the most being a Patriot fan, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers, closing it out with the team that finished numero uno atop the AFC North last year. Here's the first question I want to ask you to start this preview. It has to do with Le'Veon Bell. Mark and I talked about this many moons ago, it seems like, at the beginning of the offseason, whether or not he will be back in a Steeler, well, not back in a Steeler uniform, but will a long-term deal get done? I want to ask you, we're now, 13 days away from the deadline to sign a long-term deal? According to ESPN, Le'Veon Bell is confident a long-term deal will get done. What do you think happens in the saga with Le'Veon Bell? Does he play this season with a franchise tag? Does he not even play at all? Or does he get a long-term deal?
I think he plays the franchise tag. I don't think he's going to walk away from that. I don't think he's going to be able to completely ice the Steelers.
Well, he's not Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, and I think even looking with what's going to happen, I don't think he's going to sign a long-term deal, because there's even reports that he's willing to take a hometown discount, I think, which is like $14.5 a year. But I don't think he's going to end up doing that, because I think he'd be frankly stupid to do so. Take what you're worth, and you could probably get more than that on the market. And no offense to Pittsburgh fans, but it's not for sure that Big Ben's going to be around, and there isn't a contingency plan at the quarterback position for Pittsburgh.
There's a reason they drafted Mason Rudolph. And
I'm not high on Mason Rudolph at all. I mean, there was 5 quarterbacks that went in the first round in a quarterback desperate league, and Mason Rudolph wasn't one of them. So, and even then, just looking at his tape, I don't think he's going to be that great of an NFL quarterback. So I don't look at there isn't an Aaron Rodgers behind Ben Roethlisberger. So why wouldn't I go out, get wined and dined, go out to free agency on the open market, ride my price up? Because he demands a high price tag. He is one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the league. I know last year he technically had a down year, because you look at his yards per carry, that was down. You look at his production just compared to what he did in 2016. If you extrapolate that to a 16-game season compared to what he did in an actual 16-game season, his numbers were down, but he was still great. He was still massively effective. So I think he'd be stupid to settle less than that, because we know, especially with running backs, and how that 30-year-old mark for running backs is pretty much that sign that you're pretty much going to go downhill for that. Max out as much as you can, especially in such a physical league. I don't think he signs a contract by July 16th.
Well, and that's exactly, I agree with you to the point of get what you're worth, because I can't remember where I heard it, whether it was ESPN talking about NBA, talking about NFL. I'm probably going to screw up the quote, but one of the analysts basically said, they're like, I think it was a former player too. He's like, you know what? Get what you're worth, because if you're going to take less than what you're worth, what does that say about you? What does that say about how much you think you're worth inside? And that's not a question of oh, you think you're worth, but it's it's the point of, if you are worth this dollar amount, go and get that dollar amount, because that is what you're worth.
But some people also see it as loyalty and sticking with your team. I mean, I think it's
forgot this is the NFL, not the NBA.
Well, that's just in general with sports. I think that loyalty is a big thing, but if someone's willing to pay you, especially the team, the Steelers, if they're offering something that is around $17 million, then take it. But obviously they're not, because he probably would have taken that by now.
Yeah.
I think though, in this league where it is such a physical game, we know the negative effects it can have on your health. Go out and get as much money as possible, because if you're not able to make that money because you're physically unable to work, later on in your life, you're going to have a nice cushion to fall back on. I think especially in sports, especially in football, guys need to be looking at that.
Would it be the end of the world if he didn't sign? If he doesn't get to a long-term deal this offseason, it's obviously not going to hurt the Steelers this season. But let's say, and this is the last thing we'll do with Le'Veon before we move on, is let's say the deal doesn't get done and he plays on the franchise tag this year. Is he a Steeler after this year, or does he walk?
How many times can you tag a player?
I think this is the last one. This is the last one for Le'Veon, if I'm not mistaken. That's why it's such a big deal that they get him signed, because they can't tag him next year.
Because Kirk Cousins almost got tagged 14 times?
Yeah, 3 times.
Okay. So I think if a deal is not made by July 16th, he is not a Steeler next year.
Okay.
I do not think that the Steelers are going to be able to cough up that much money to keep him on the team, because I think a team that will be desperate for a running back, maybe the Jets, will cough up that money to get a game changer like Le'Veon Bell.
And his previous last year, he was on a franchise tag as well. So I'm pretty sure this is the last year that they can tag Le'Veon Bell. Looking at it, maybe not, because 2013 he came into the year, 4-year deal. No, scratch that. I think one more year. But they're gonna, at that point, it's a buttload of money. I know it's not quarterback money.
Oh yeah, it goes up way higher.
It's still a butt ton of money for the Steelers. I want to ask you this though: for the Steelers this year, yes, they're probably, and I hate to say this because I hate to say this with any team with competitive, they're probably the first sure going to win this division. Like, no one's questioning whether or not they win this division.
Shocking if they don't, yes.
But for you, what's your biggest concern, if you have any, with the Steelers this year?
My biggest concern is usually, like what it always is injuries with the Steelers, because typically there's always an injury on that line, whether it's to Pouncey, to Castro, one of those guys typically goes down, and then it's the defense, and it comes back to that. I hated the Terrell Edmunds pick with a passion. That was the dumbest thing they could have done. But you still look at the T.J. Watt was fantastic for them last year. I just don't know if they have playmakers in that secondary that are enough. They brought Joe Hayden in. He wasn't fantastic. He's not the same old Joe Hayden that he was. Cam Hayward's great. Stephon Tuitt's great. Bud Dupree's great. But they also are losing their guy in Ryan Shazier. And that we saw the effect that it had on their defense when they lost him. And he's not coming back. I hope for his safety he does not come back. We do not need to see a player die on the field. We do not need to see that happen. I hope he is able to at least recover and is able to walk and live a healthy life. But, they're not going to be able to have Ryan Shazier in the middle. And we saw how much that changed that defense. So the biggest question will be the defense and how will they be able to gather around not having Shazier, because we know the offense is going to be disgusting no matter if anyone on that offensive line gets hurt or not. You're going to still have Big Ben. You're still going to have Le'Veon Bell. You're still going to have Antonio Brown. You're still going to have Juju as well. It's just going to be that question of the defense. How much is the loss of Ryan Shazier going to linger into 2018?
At the worst, this is a 5-loss team. Like, at the worst, they're 10-5 or 11-5 for me this year. Right now, I have them as either, at this point, I have them at 14-2, 13-3 is what I could also see, and that's only because, Sean, cover your ears, I have them winning the Patriot game in the regular season.
Dumb.
To me, they won it last year. I know it was a fluke catch call that had them win that game in the regular season, or did they?
The Patriots won. That was the fumble of Jesse James.
I know that the playoffs, they can't beat the Patriots worth of crap, and that's the question for me with this team. The regular season, like, this team for me, I'm going to compare it to the NBA. They are almost like, if I'm a fan, I'm almost Golden State Warrior level when it comes to the regular season, where it's like, what injuries can happen, but if everyone stays healthy, whatever, we're going to the playoffs, we're going to be number 1 or number 2. And for me, then the question becomes, when it comes to the playoffs, can you beat the Jaguars? Can you beat the Patriots?
They have 8 for-sure wins. I mean, they're going to beat the Browns twice. They're going to beat the Bengals twice. I'll throw one of the Ravens up as a toss-up, but they're going to get another win from the Ravens.
The Raisins.
They're going to beat the Bucks. They're going to beat the Broncos. They're going to beat the Raiders as well. So I think that adds up to 8 wins there for the Steelers.
I have them 10-0 to start the year so far. And I mean, the Falcons.
Really?
The Falcons could be a loss, and the Saints could also be a loss.
Falcons could be a loss. Chiefs could be a loss.
The Chiefs, I think, without Alex Smith and Nagy, the Steelers have a much better.
They have a better chance of winning it, but I still think that Pat Mahomes. I mean, if this kid is what we heard he's going to be, I mean, they could throw the ball left and right, and Kareem Hunt is a monster back there, and their defense is fine. They're not losing the Bucks as well, because that's going to be without Jameis. So I think the Falcons, they can definitely lose to the Falcons, which is with that high-powered offense, if they take that jump under Sark. And then they play the Ravens twice too, so I think they can lose there. I don't think they're undefeated going into Week 10 though. But they're the Panthers game's gonna be tough. Jaguars obviously going to be tough. I think that Chargers one could be a mess because of how much pressure they can put on the quarterback. Patriots going to be a close game, tough game for them, and obviously the Saints too. So I think it's probably going to be a 12-11 win team, like you said. I think it's going to be consistent what we see with the Steelers because they have so much talent on this team.
The big question, though, and this is the one we'll answer because I'll bring back my Golden State Warrior analogy. Can this team, because looking at last year, did they make a ton of moves to make them vastly different from last year? I don't think vastly different from last year is in my mind. Is this a team that can beat either the Jaguars or the Patriots come playoffs? Because we know the Mike Tomlin, Bill Belichick. Mike Tomlin can't beat Bill Belichick in the playoffs. And
and Ben Roethlisberger can't beat Tom Brady.
And the Jaguars last year, if the Jaguars are anywhere near where they were last year, I see the Jaguars being a team that in a playoff game ain't going to lose to the Steelers.
And this is as of December 14th, 2017. I want to throw this out there just because,
July. Oh, you're saying
December 14th, 2017. Okay. This is again going up against what's it called? Brady against Roethlisberger. This is both playoff and regular season. Brady is 7-2 against Roethlisberger. So history tells us that Brady beats up on Roethlisberger. I just want to throw that out there because I know Steelers fans get upset when I throw it out there. But yeah, I mean, this is good. It's just going to be how well do you do in the playoffs, and you're not beating Brady. So good luck. Well, try again next year without Le'Veon Bell and with an older Ben Roethlisberger.
And how I see everything kind of playing out is, let's say, because right now I have them as the number 1 seed, Patriots as the 2 seed. Odds are Jaguars would be 3. They win their wild card game. That means great. We get to, if we win our divisional game, it doesn't matter. We're playing for sure the Jaguars or the Patriots in that AFC title game. And to me, that is the biggest question for this team. Of course, everyone's goal is Super Bowl, but like a team like the Steelers, you have a little bit more hope for it because of the level that they're at. But I just don't think right now, early July, that I can say they'll beat the Patriots because of what you also said. Yeah. And I would for sure say the Jaguars would beat the Steelers if they went head-to-head in the AFC title
And here's
game.
The thing probably with the Steelers is that this is their last chance. Because unless they lock up Le'Veon, he's most likely going to leave. And Big Ben's, 38 years old? So this might be the last chance for the Steelers to win with this current team in place, with Antonio Brown, with Big Ben, and with Le'Veon Bell.
With the Killer Bees.
So this is the year. So maybe that's going to give them the edge to come over to overcome the Patriots and to overcome the Jags. But it's a lot to ask because they didn't do it last year and they haven't done it to Brady in a while. I think the last time they did it was 2005. It's
funny because the only player out of the Killer Bees that's for sure after this year is Antonio Brown.
Yep.
I'm going to say they have him locked down until after the 2021 season because let's be honest, they would be crazy to take their potential out after the 2019 season with him. You don't let a guy like Antonio Brown hit the board unless you're thinking, well, Big Ben's already retired at this point. We lost Le'Veon. What's the point of paying him? But I don't think that would happen. That would be
if it's at that point, they're probably trading him.
Yeah, exactly. You're not letting him walk
for free.
For nothing. Yeah. I just think with this team, and this is one of the last things I'll mention, is you mentioned with Mason Rudolph that you're not high on him.
No.
But the question I want to throw out there is, of course, I don't want to
He's
throw
better
out
than Landry Jones.
I don't want to throw out the idiot. I'm going to say the idiotic question of is this Big Ben's last year? Because we don't truly know. It could have been last year. It could be 2 years from now. It could be at the end of this year. What do we read in to the Steelers not only taking Mason Rudolph but also taking his main weapon from OK State last year? Is there anything to read in from that?
No, it's just players that they liked. Big Ben's their franchise quarterback. I mean, they took when the Patriots took Jimmy Garoppolo in the second round. It didn't mean Brady was gone.
No. I'm not saying for sure it means, but
they're planning for the future in case. Big Ben hasn't had a great track record with health. I mean, it's just due diligence. It'd be stupid not to take a backup quarterback with an aging quarterback who has injury issues with a team that needs to win now. And Mason Rudolph was a guy that started for 4 years and had a very successful college career. And having those weapons like Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell will make his job easier. I don't think this is something that is making Big Ben's out the door in the next 2 years.
No.
When Big Ben wants to leave, then he'll leave. That's what it's simple as. When Big Ben retires, then it's Mason Rudolph's job. But
the point that
he's not going to overseed.
No, and I'm not saying that he'll overseed Big Ben. The thing that and I'll explain it a little bit better maybe, is to me, I look at it and I go, first they take Mason Rudolph. Okay, they're taking a quarterback that they think that they can develop in case Big Ben leaves next year, 2 years. But then I look and it's like, ooh, they took they could have taken any other wide receiver that they wanted late in the draft. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, and he's a good wide receiver. It's not like he's nothing.
Because they liked him.
But I look at it too, and could it be a small reason of, hey, not only is this wide receiver good, but if we get this wide receiver off the field, they already have a chemistry. If Big Ben retires this year, if he retires in 2 years, when Mason Rudolph comes out, we've got a guy that he's got chemistry with right away,
brother,
even if we have to trade Antonio Brown.
Take the tinfoil hat off. It's nothing more than they like the player. I mean, let's look at the Steelers' history with drafting and developing wide receivers. It's superb. So they liked the guy. They took him. That's all it is. It just happens that he went to the same college as Mason Rudolph. Is it helpful that he has a buddy there? Yeah, but did they take him because they want Mason Rudolph to have friends at the lunch table? No. It's just he's a player they like.
Quarterback, wide receiver, having that guy you can gel with.
You can gel with Antonio Brown if you throw the ball enough to him.
You need two. You can't just have one wide receiver out there.
They have Juju Smith-Schuster, who was unreal last year.
What if they need a slot guy? I'm just saying.
They have Darius Hayward-Bay.
I think there's a little bit more to it than just we like the guy and we went to him.
Quit smoking that Oklahoma crack.
Any final thoughts you got on the Steelers before we wrap things up?
Fuck them.
Wow. Sean just really letting his Patriot colors come out there. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in the comment section. What do you think of the Steelers this year? What do you think they're going to do? And Steeler fans, I want to ask you guys, how confident are you guys if you go into an AFC title game this year against either the Jaguars or the Patriots, how confident that you're walking out of that game going into Super Bowl Sunday, and most likely against my Vikings, but we'll see.
Here's the thing, just real quick. As a Patriots fan, I hate the AFC North because the Ravens typically knock us out of the playoffs, and they always play us tight. And the Steelers always complain after every time we kick their ass. They're like the little brother that's annoying and keeps saying one more game, but it's just going to be a blowout every single time you play. So it's no offense to Steeler fans. I think Steeler fans are way better than Philly fans. They're much nicer, but get real, you're not beating Brady, and you're not beating the Patriots until Brady and Belichick are gone.
Well, this is where you guys come in and let us know what you think down below. A little housekeeping here at the end. Make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluable podcast if you want to help support us as we're coming with you a podcast each and every day, each and every week when we come with podcasts. Also, check out our store in the description so that you can get an MVP t-shirt. This ain't the shirt.
Yeah, so you can get an Austin 316 t-shirt.
It's not this shirt
from WWEshop.com.
It's a Most Valuable Podcast t-shirt. You can check that down below. You can also get it at mostvaluablepodcast.com, where you can also catch MVP each and every day. And then last but not least, go on to iTunes and Apple Podcasts and give MVP Podcast a 5-star rating. It would mean the world to us. Want to thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Want to thank you guys for listening on podcast services around the world. And as always, have a good day, everybody.